Hey everybody, my name is Joe Harford,
And I'm Rachel Lucas.
and this is Data Security Over Coffee. So, in talking with Angie, we decided that we wanted to stay with a theme of introducing other employees that work here at Reclamere. Angie is also getting ready to go to a conference in Orlando, Florida. She and Connie Mastovich are going to be presenting at InfoSec, which is pretty cool, specifically about vendor management and what companies need to be worried about when other people, other than themselves, are handling their data. So, just also an update. Angie and I last week were in Las Vegas at the NAID conference. I'd never been to Las Vegas before. It was an interesting experience. We'll just leave it at that. But a number of really great things happened. First and foremost, again, I want to congratulate Angie on being elected as the NAID president-elect. So that means that she gets to wave a lot. When she becomes president, however, she's going to be doing a whole heck of a lot more. And then when she's past president, she gets to wave again. So it'll be an interesting time for her, and I'm really proud of her accomplishment. The other thing is we are introducing the Information Disposition Textbook from NAID. This is the very first time that the Trade Association has produced a textbook, not only for its members, but also for vendors and for our customers. It's really a consolidation of all the information that we can think of in regard to regulations and rules and practices and procedures for the information destruction industry. A big shout out to Bob Johnson from NAID. His energy, his hard work, his typing are the primary reason why we're able to bring the textbook together from its inception to actual production. So big kudos to Bob, and thank you so much for your leadership when we were putting the textbook together. Okay, so with all of that stuff said in a little bit more than 2 minutes. So Rachel, why don't you tell these lovely folks out in the internet world, what's your job? Like, what do you do at Reclamere?
I wear many hats here at Reclamere. I am in charge of finance. I do human resources. I do compliance. So Reclamere has a variety of certifications that we maintain with NAID as an example, R2, etc. So I oversee that process. I'm involved in our operation and the ITAM part of our business, and generally anything else that needs done.
I think that the thing that's important to mention here, because we always talk about being in a small business and business owners wearing many hats, it's also the employees that work on the team as well. So it's not just that she has one job in particular, but obviously she has many. One of the jobs that she didn't mention most recently, Reclamere has been going through a transition to build out our managed security services. And so we've decided to partner with a number of different companies. And so as an interface, as the individual responsible in the organization to take all of the crazy ideas that Angie and I have and kind of percolate them down into something that makes sense and sharing that with those companies, Rachel's taken on the responsibility to do that. So you've been here for 2 years.
Correct.
And she's still alive, so that's a good thing. So what have you noticed that's changed over 2 years in regard to not necessarily your job, but things that you've learned or experiences that you've had from when you got here until today?
So I did not come to Reclamere with experience in the IT field. I previously had worked in a variety of different industries for much larger companies. So it was a big learning curve for me, just the IT security posture overall. I had a lot of catching up to do as to what that actually meant. And as an employee of a prior company where basically what I knew about IT security was what they told you had to do, here's your password or what have you. Learning more, from a proactive standpoint, what responsibilities employees have, and even more importantly, what the ramifications are if the entire team doesn't take that seriously, and the importance of maintaining your data. I just didn't have and I would think most people who don't work in this field don't have a firm grasp of what the ramifications are if you don't have that under control in your company.
Okay. So, the last probably month or so has been kind of wild and woolly for us again because we're really starting to see a lot of traction around managed security services. We've had a number of clients come to us that have been very interested in the services, both from our current install base as well as those prospects that we continue to go and knock on doors and try to offer our services. I guess one of the things I'm curious to find out about, because Angie and I talk about this a lot, we have a perception of how the business is running or operating as owners, but I'm wondering from your perspective, if you take a look at it through the lens of what you do on a daily basis, how do you see things changing and morphing at Reclamere? How do you so not only how do you see the changes, but then how do you see those changes affecting the employees who work here?
So when I started, we did mostly projects when it came to ITM where clients would call us and say we have a lot of stuff, come get it. And at that time, we were implementing the data or the DS360 program where we have the secure cards at client sites and scheduled pickups. And then the data projects that we were doing were reactive in terms of, the client had a data breach or they had to do a risk assessment so that they were compliant with HIPAA. And we would get calls and then everybody would just like in a frenzy try to figure out how we're going to get this done. And the managed security products that we are putting together allow us to provide those services in a managed way for the clients and be proactive versus reactive. So the whole business has really moved from reacting to when clients called and had a need to how can we help them plan and proactively what are their needs going to be and how can we schedule it out in a way that works for us and works for them. And from an employee experience, employees can look ahead and know what is the workload going to look like, what are we going to have in the back, what from a security standpoint, how many hours do I work for this customer this month or this customer this month. And it's not so much you're going to get a crazy call on a weekend and have to work 18 or 19 hours a day for a couple of weeks to get something under control.
Right.
So it's a good work-life balance tool for us as an employee to be able to plan that out.
Okay. And one other thing I'm curious too is, so Angie regularly will go out and speak with folks. Like next week again, she's going to InfoSec in Orlando to talk about vendor management with Connie, and I think sometimes it's interesting where Angie and I will share things with people and they will kind of nod and they kind of get it, but I'm wondering if you as an employee or team member of Reclamere. And you now have an audience of however many bazillion people out on the internet that are listening because they're really excited about data security over coffee. I just have to say that. If you were in an auditorium filled with employees of an organization that weren't owners, they weren't executive leaders, what kind of advice would you give them? Something that's practical that over the last 2 years you've learned. It's been beaten into your head by Connie when we do our own internal security training, but practical things that you would share with people that you think would make a difference in their day-to-day kind of work and what they're up against.
So coming from companies where, my job wasn't related to IT security and knowing the information I was given by those companies about what best practices I should follow with their data, and that wasn't much, I would say that really providing your employees with basic tools and best practices to follow and really just that educational piece. Like I said, when you start hearing the numbers of how much a data breach costs or how easy it is for one to happen, it sinks in and makes it a little bit more tangible for them to understand why it's so important. But also, okay, you can't write a password down, but this is a password keeper tool you can have, and this is what's safe. Angie's really great because you can go to her and say, I have to get this login information to one of our business partners, and she will be able to direct us into, what's a secure manner to do that. And if you don't have that resource, which most people don't, if you can outline, here's a password manager that the company uses, don't click on links in your emails if you don't know who they're from. Just, very basic things that will make a big difference to the overall security of your whole company, but are also very easy for employees at any level, no matter what job they do, to follow.
Okay. That's really helpful, I think. I think it matters to people. So we're going to wrap it up, but before I do, I'm going to just simply introduce this tube. And people are wondering, what is this tube and why is this tube important? Well, it's a surprise, and specifically for Paul Garfunkel, because Paul likes surprises. He does not like surprises where he falls down and gets hurt. That's a story in and of itself. You'll have to private message him on Facebook, and he'll share that horrible story with you. But at our DSOC next time, we will unveil what's inside this tube. It's very, very exciting. It connects a lot of dots here at Reclamere, and I will give you a hint. It is associated with our brand new logo. So anyway, thank you very much, Rachel, for being on the show today. It was fabulous, absolutely. And we'll see you all next time. Thank you so much.